let's look at how we can solve linear inequalities. So solving linear inequalities is similar, or we do it in a similar way. We solve other equations, but however, the solutions for inequalities are always different because for it we shall not have a particular value like a single value, but we shall have a range of values, since inequalities always give a range of values. So we follow the following rules. For addition and subtraction of inequalities, any addition or subtraction can be made on both sides of an inequality. And for example, if we have A is less than B, then if you add a C on both sides, then you'll end up having A plus C will also be less than B plus C. So even if you subtract on both sides, A minus C will be less than B minus C. Whether it is a greater than, still subtractions and additions basically don't change the inequality as such. Okay, let's look at the multiplication and division of inequalities. So every time you have an inequality and you divide by a negative number, the inequality is reversed. When you have an inequality and you divide by a negative number, the inequality is reversed. For example, if you have like an inequality which is negative 3x, let's say, is greater than 6. So when you divide by a negative number, let's say you're dividing by negative 3, the inequality reverses, and this time it becomes a less than 6 divided by negative 3. So you can see that the inequality here has been reversed. This inequality has originally it was greater than, but when we divided by a negative, it changed and now it is a less than. So also the division and multiplication basically doesn't change the sign of the inequality. As long as it is a positive number, the sign remains the same, but for a negative, that's when the sign changes. So let's look at some of the examples where we are solving inequality problems. So the first example, we are supposed to work with 3x minus 4 is less than 5. So in this case, we still handle the same way we handle equations. Is the way we deal with inequalities. So this time we shall have to take the 4 to the other side. Since it is negative, when it crosses to the other side, it will become positive. So this will be 5 plus 4. So finally, we shall have 3x is less than 9. So we divide by 3 on both sides. So finally, x will be less than 3. So since we have divided by a positive, the sign remains the same. The sign only changes when we divide by a negative value. Okay, let's look at the second example, which is here. And in the second example, we have 3 out of 2 minus 5x out of 3 is greater than 8 plus x out of 2. So when you have such a situation, what you do is that you first look because we have denominators. So we first look for the LCM, the lowest common multiple of the denominators, and that is 6. So we shall multiply each of the sides with 6, each of these numbers with 6. So this side we shall have 6 being multiplied with 3 out of 2 minus 6 being multiplied with 5x out of 3. This is greater than 8 is also multiplied with 6, and also x out of 2 is also multiplied with 6. So finally, we can go ahead and reduce these values. Here once, here thrice. So finally, we shall end up having 3 times 3, which is 9, minus 10x, being greater than, then on the other side, we have a number which is 8 multiplied by 6, which is 48. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 3x. Here's what I found on the web. Plus 3x. So from here, you collect like terms, that is, take the x's on one side and then take the ones which don't have x on their side alone. Okay. So if we take the x's on their own side, we shall end up having, maybe if I bring the 3x this side, I'll end up having negative 10x. Since it was positive the other side, when it crosses and comes this side, it becomes a negative. This is greater than 48. 9 was positive. When it crosses equal signs, it becomes a negative. So finally, I'll end up having negative 13. Negative 13x is greater than 48 minus 9. This is negative 39. Positive 39, sorry, it's positive 39. Okay, so to find the value of x, we shall divide by negative 13 on both sides, even this side negative 13. So every time you divide by a negative, the sign changes, so meaning that the value of x will be x is less than 39 divided by negative 13. This is negative 3. So when you divide by a negative, the sign changes, as can be seen here. You can see when we divided by the negative, the sign changed to a less than, yet originally the sign was a greater than. So anytime you divide by a negative in inequalities, the sign in the original inequality changes because you divided by a negative. Okay, so you can do the same for all other equations. Maybe all other equations, still you can do the same thing. You can also go and try out this in your free time.